Welcome to the retelling and takeaways from The Picture of Dorian Gray by no one else but me. But just before we start, let's have a short psych window. Do you know what the Big Five is? It's basically five traits that kind of determine who you are. Just on a small note, just because of this slide and this whole presentation and my retelling of it, you can see that my consciousness is very low. So I'm careless, sloppy, inefficient, and lazy. Keep it in mind, and let's look at the starring actors. Dorian Gray, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Basil the Painter, Lord Henry the Tempter. Okay, small note here. I don't know why the whole time I was listening to the audiobook, every time Lord Henry appeared, I just imagined him as a guy with a reindeer or deer head. I don't know why. We have Sybil the short-lasting love, and Ellen the ex-friend chemist. Okay, so now when we know all the main characters, we can look at the story. So the story starts with Basil and Lord Henry just talking about this new painting that Basil is drawing. It happens to be the picture of Dorian Gray. Whoa! And they yap slightly more about Dorian Gray and how Basil doesn't want Henry to meet him, but guess what? Dorian comes in the middle of it to get his painting done, right? And so Basil just tells Lord Henry, like, Pulse, remember what I said in the garden? He's like, I forgot already. Then he starts to paint Dorian, and he's like super hyper focused, so he doesn't listen to what Henry is talking. In between line, he says, "You're pretty." But he will repeat that. So, anyways, Lord Henry and Dorian go to the garden because it's like super hot inside, right? Basil is just finishing the backgrounds. So they go to the garden and they just yap. And in the yap, we learn that Lord Henry is like hedonist and that he just likes to do all bad things, kind of. That he finds pleasures in it and that also only pretty things matter and all things are ugly and worthless. Nobody cares about them. And he says, and you remember how he said to Dorian that he's pretty. So Dorian is like, no, I'm not pretty. But Henry is like, you are, bro. Look at it yourself. You won't be always pretty, so like you use it. And Dorian is like, okay, how should I use? Like, what should I do? And Lord Henry gives him he gives him an advice to do all sins and passions you can imagine. You know, try it out, bro. And your handsomeness, like that's all you should do. As if that would make sense, but that's what he says. They return to the studio where Basil the painter shows the finished picture and he says, wow, that's my best art. And Lord Henry's like, yeah, for real? Like, I will buy this picture, give it to me. But what does Dorian Gray do? He's silent at first, and then he says, I'm really pretty. Wow. And so then he becomes super jealous of this picture and he says that he would give everything for him to stay this young and for the painting to get old, even his very own soul. Remember, that's very important. Okay, with that, Lord Henry has to leave, but he says to Dorian, hey, come with me, let's have some more chat. And Dorian is like, yes, master, I love all your teachings. You opened my mind today. And so they leave Basil. And Basil is like, okay, bye. And he sends the picture to Dorian Gray's house. Several days later, we're at Lord Henry's house. Dorian appears and he's like, I'm in love with Sybil. And I love her and I love her and I love her and I will be with her forever and bye bye bye. And Lord Henry's like, love is fleeting. Bro, you don't know anything about love. You should just like try with her and like play with her and then like leave her. That's all you should do. Dorian's like, no, I mean it. She's like the best actress and she made me fall in love with her the first time I saw her and I saw her every single night from then. And you should go see her with me and Basil and yeah, you will see how much I love her and you will fall in love with her too. And you will see that she's different from all the women you dated and that she's the best and I will stay with her. And he says that he won't listen to Lord Henry because like he's corrupting him. Lord Henry's like, sure, try it. Dorian goes to see Sybil after another of her plays and he says, I love you. And basically she reciprocates the feelings and they become engaged. So then Lord Henry and Basil join Dorian to look at one of the Sybil's plays after they're engaged. And she plays super badly, so Lord Henry and Basil leave, and Dorian is like angry, super angry. So just after the play, he goes to the backstage, and his love meets him with the words, I played super badly today. And he's like, yeah, that was horrible, terrible, ugh, ugly. I could not watch. I am so disappointed. I'm so angry. You wasted my time, and you made fun of me in front of my friends. And she's like, no, you showed me what the real love is, and now I cannot just play and pretend love because I know what the true love is. It's you, my dear Prince Charming. And he's like, you know what? I don't love you anymore. I regret ever loving you. Like, you're just another useless actress. Like, who cares about you? Like, you were good, but now you're worthless. And she's like, no, please stay. I will try to act better. I will try to pretend love again. I will do. And he's like, just bye. He just leaves. And she's like, did. Yeah, but Dorian doesn't know yet. He just comes home in the evening and he just looks at the painting that he got from Basil, right? Painting of himself. And he sees a weird, mischievous or like evil smile on his face. He's like, oh, did the painting change? Like, what's happening? And then he gets this hypothesis that it's his soul in the drawing. At one side, he's like, that's cool. On the other, like, good that nobody sees it, only me. And when he sees that his kind of soul was corrupted, he's like, okay, so it had to be what I did to Sybil. Like, it wasn't polite, so I will marry her and I will be good, and all will change. And of course, I won't listen to Lord Henry because it's his fault. Like I won't be like him, I won't just leave a girl. So he cries and writes a letter, like, apologize letter to Sybil. And then Lord Henry comes, and Dorian is like, I don't regret what I did. I don't regret what I said. It taught me a lot about myself, and I will atone my bad things by marrying her, and it will all be alright. And Lord Henry's like, I came because she be dead. And then I was like, should I cry? Should I be sad? Like, I don't feel anything. Am I bad? And Lord Henry's like, no. Of course you're not sad. You should be happy. She did the best thing. She showed that she was worth of you because, you know, she won't be annoying, like looking back to the past and reminding you of what you did. No, she did a good thing. She sacrificed and loved only you. No woman did it to me. She was really good. And Dorian's like, that makes sense. And so Lord Henry tells him like he should not think about past, like that's useless and stupid. And so he invites him to go to an opera to just watch some play and enjoy his present time, right? And Dorian is like, sure. So the next day, Basil comes like, I was looking for you. Someone said that you're an opera, but of course I didn't believe that. Like, you have to be grieving. I'm so sorry for what happened. And Dorian's like, I don't live in the past. Of course I was in the opera. Like, why should I care? And Basil's like, you're not sad? You weird, bro. And Dorian is like, she did a good thing. She showed she was worth of me. And Basil's like, no comprehension. System failed. And he just asked if he can see his drawing that he did of him because he wants to show it in some art gallery in Paris. And Dorian's like, nope, never, ever. You hate me if you show it. You hate me if you want to see it. I don't want you to ever ask me to show it to you. And Basil's like, okay, bro, chill. But also, Lord Henry once told Dorian that he should ask Basil why he drew the picture. Like, at first, Basil didn't want to show the picture to anyone, so like, why? And so Dorian asked Basil, and Basil's like, I liked you. I worshipped you. Like, you are the purest thing ever, and I just could not take my eyes off you. And the reaction he gets is like, okay, anyways. And Dorian thinks of him as pitiful. So Basil leaves, disappointed. Then, in the next chapters, we learn that Dorian is not aging, and he's just staying the same way as he was when he was painting, but the painting is getting ugly and old, and he's putting these parties on, and he got this book from Lord Henry about some guy from Peru that does similar thing to Dorian, but Dorian has a better situation because he's not aging, right? So he's just doing like useless things. He's living Lord Henry's desires, basically. He's living what Lord Henry would want him to live. And then comes the most dreadful chapter, which is chapter 9. That's the longest chapter, where it just says how he explored perfume making and jewels and religion and music, and how he all wanted to try and find joy in it, but he always like kind of left it because, you know, he learned everything about it and he has so much money, he had everything he wanted. This dreadful chapter is useful just for one thing, and that's for the famous question, like, is it worth gaining the whole world but losing your soul? And of course, as I said, his image is getting older and uglier. Then we have the best chapters 10 and 11, starring Basil and the painting. Basil wants to see Dorian because he's leaving to France, and Dorian kind of ignores him. He doesn't want to speak to him, but Basil's like, bruh, I want to talk to you. I'm leaving. Dorian's like playing super cool, super friendly, so you could see that he's manipulative compared to the beginning, so that was interesting to see. But Basil says, I hear these horrible things about you. Like, I hear from this guy that you do this. I hear from this guy that you don't see each other anymore. Now I hear just bad things about you. Like, what is happening? And Dorian is like, I don't care. Why are you telling me this? And Basil's like, I don't understand. What happened to you? You look pretty and healthy and pure, but all I hear is just ugly, disgusting, and impure and sinful, and I don't know what. And it's just, he cannot believe it. And Dorian thinks shortly, and he's low-key annoyed. He is blaming Basil, like that he drew the painting and give it to him, so it's his fault. So he decides to show him the picture, right? So he leads him to the picture that's like hidden in some room, and when Basil sees it, he's like, what? And he basically says, "You're ugly. You're even worse than what I heard." But this is different way of ugly than what Lord Henry was saying, because Lord Henry was saying like old ugly. Basil's look on ugliness was like he saw this weird wrinkles on face that he noticed were like from bad smile, or like saw this details on the face and or on the body that showed the behavior. And so for him that was ugly, like he had this dark eyes and corrupted smile and all that. And so Basil is like, let's repaint. I worshipped you too much. You became super bad. But if your prayer you should stay pretty and the painting should get old, if it was listened to, even our prayer for forgiveness will be listened to. And so he like tries to remember some verses about forgiveness, which was funny. And in the meantime, dORiAn takes a knife and kills Basil. Bye. And he's like, oopsie, what did I do? What did I do? But then he quickly recovers, as always, from bad things. And so something has to be done with the body, right? So he calls his ex-friend, which is now chemist, Ellen, and he tells him literally, do your magic, like do something to get rid of a body. And he even tells him that he killed the body and he just wants it to be clean. But Ellen is like, I hate you. Like, we don't know what happened, but of course something dORiAn did. And he's just like, I hate you. I don't care you killed someone. I just don't want to do anything with you. And dORiAn is like, oh, I have this blackmail material at you. You know, you kind of have to do it. And so Alan just like, bruh. And he gets rid of the body and then says, I hate you. And later he kills himself. Bye. And we're almost at the end, again in the Lord Henry's mansion. And dORiAn says to Lord Henry, I will be good now. I will be a good man. I will change. And Lord Henry's like, you are good, you know, based on Henry's principles. And dORiAn is like, no, I won't listen to you anymore. You corrupt me. And Lord Henry's like, huh, that's funny. I bet dORiAn told him this phrase like a million times and never kind of lived by it. And so Lord Henry invites him to meet tomorrow. And dORiAn is like, of course. Yeah, let's do that. 11 is fine. And he leaves. At home, dORiAn recalls his good act, by which he was assumably good person now, and it was that he spared a girl. He was in a village and there was a pretty girl, and he made her fall in love with him, and then he left her before anything could happen, and before he left her later. Yeah, that was the good act he did. And he said it even to Lord Henry, and Lord Henry told him, you are not good, you are selfish. That's good. But dORiAn is like, no, I did a good thing. I did something selfless, so I am surely good now. And he goes to look at his painting that was supposedly about to change because he did something good, right? But no, the picture is still ugly. It's even uglier. And one small note here. After he killed Basil, his painting got like this red stains on his hands. And so he looks at the stains. As always, he recovers very quickly from anything bad he did. And he's like, you know what? I don't care about what I did. I don't care about the girl. I don't care about Basil. About anything. I just want to live. I need to take care of all evidence that could point that I killed Basil, and then I would have to admit what I did. So he realizes he has to destroy the evidence, which is the painting, right? He takes a knife, the same knife that he used to kill Basil, and rips the painting in half. But at the same time, a loud scream is heard, and the servants rush into the room where the screams come from, and they find a painting. It looks exactly as their master dORiAn, and on the floor is lying an old ugly man. That's the end. And you know, I was pretty disappointed. I had more expectations, and many people recommend this to me, so I was looking for something more. And so at least I wanted to get some background on the story so that I would connect some things at least with the historical time. And I found that the author wrote two versions. The first one, this one I read, was the shorter one, and it didn't sell well. And so he added bonus chapters to a second version that then sold better. And so what is happening in the bonus chapters? Right at the beginning, we have chapter 3, where we learn more about Lord Henry. It's basically just chapter about him and about how he loves manipulation. He just loves to commit sin, fornicate, and all that. And that he just wants to use dORiAn to make him kind of like himself. So that is very helpful to see that and understand what's happening. So that chapter is actually good. Then it's the chapter after dORiAn and Sybil are engaged. And that's basically about Sybil and her brother. We get her brother that is a sailor. And he's about to leave for work, but they are together, and she tells him about how she is in love with this Prince Charming, that she will marry him. And after she's dead, he decides to kill the man. He doesn't know how he looks like, he just knows she called him Prince Charming. And so then, one day, dORiAn and the brother, they appear in the same bar, which is like in some weird village. Like, it's very random that they meet. Dorian wants just some opiates. And one lady there calls Dorian Prince Charming. And so the brother's like, bro, I will kill ya. You killed my sister. And Dorian's like, his brain cells work. And he's like, look at me. I am 20. Your sister was killed 20 years ago. How could I be the man you want to kill? And so the brother's like, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I wanted to kill you. And the brother has a breakdown that he almost killed an innocent man. When I read that, I was in the middle of my school corridor and I was fighting myself to not throw my phone on the floor. And the second time I went to throw the phone on the floor was when the brother died and he was shot as he was trying to finish what he started, and when he realized that Dorian is the bad guy. And of course, as every good character and Dorian, he died. And one more chapter that was pretty good was chapter where we saw some struggle in Dorian's brain and heart, like if he cares or doesn't about what happened. So these were the bonus chapters and the whole story. So I was thinking, what can I take away from this book? And so I have 4 learnings. And first thing is, I'm just a simple girl. I'm illiterate and I don't understand literature. And I'm just like, I don't know, too picky maybe, or I have too high expectations of canon. I guess I cannot read properly as others do. But I'm still proud that I read or listened to this book. Second is, friends matter. Don't have friends like Lord Henry because they influence how you behave. And I think this was a very good example of that. Care about your friends like Basil. Another one is words do matter. What others say is very important. So we have to pay attention to what we are listening to, but also what we are saying. It can impact how other people perceive themselves and how they live their lives. And you don't want to have blood on your hands. And last but not least is solid fundament matters. I'm so grateful I have the Bible because when I was listening to the Lord Henry, he sounded so smart and so wise. But if you don't have anything to compare it with, of course he sounds like that. But when I was comparing to the word, I just saw how silly and how desperate he is. So solid fundament matters. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will read Dorian Gray, or at least say if you liked it or not. Bye.